This one is conformity bias, and this is one of my favorite types of bias. Not that I have favorite biases because it's a good thing. I mean, in terms of studying bias, it's one of my favorite types of bias. Conformity bias is the tendency to go along with the group. It's the tendency to be influenced by those around you. It's what we refer to as groupthink. And there's a fascinating research that was done actually many, many years ago. It's called, oh, wait a minute. I want to look at that. It's called the Asch experiment. And I'm actually going to do the Asch experiment with you right now. Take a look at these two figures. Take a look at the single vertical line on the left side, and then take a look at the three vertical lines labeled A, B, and C on the right side. I want you to select which of those lines on the right, A, B, or C, is most closely similar in terms of length to the line on the left. Raise your hand if you think it's A. Raise your hand if you think it's B. Raise your hand if you think it's C. Okay, it's C. This is not an optical illusion. It wasn't a trick. It was none of that. I know some people are like, nah, it's B. I know that. I've seen this. It's an optical illusion. You can't fool me. No, this is not an optical illusion. It's actually C. But here's what's fascinating. The Asch conformity experiments actually did the same thing, and this is what they found. When they actually had a subject come in, and they were going to test that subject, and they would do exactly what I just did with you. They would say, take a look at that line, that vertical line on the left, then take a look at the three vertical lines on the right, and which one of those, A, B, or C, most corresponds with the one on the left. Over 99% of the time, the answer that was given was C, which is the correct answer. But then what they also did in this research is they took a look at, or they introduced what we call confederates. And this is how it worked. You'd have the one person who was the actual subject being tested, and then you'd have 7 other subjects who were there to be tested, but they were actually confederates and working in league with the researcher. And this is how they set it up. They would have 1 through 7, the confederates, they would say, they'd ask that question, and the confederate 1 would say, oh, that's B. And confederate 2 would say, that's B. Confederate 3 would say, it's B. So on and so forth. And then they'd ask the 8th person, the one that wasn't in on it, the one that was actually being studied. And what they found was 37% of the time, that person said B. Now, 63% of the time, they gave the right answer of C, but still, more than a third of the time, they gave the wrong answer of B, simply because everybody before them said B. That's conformity bias. That's the tendency to go along with the group, whether you believe that or whether you think that at all. And I probably don't have to take the next step in this, which is, how might that affect the way we go about solving problems and making decisions? That can have a profound impact if you have individuals that might have great intellectual power, that they can be of great assistance in the problem-solving and decision-making process, but you don't experience that or you don't see that because they're just going along with everybody else.